last night, Sunday. This is TNA's biggest pay-per-view of the year. It's their version of WrestleMania, I guess one could say. And of course, it does not live up to the magnitude of WrestleMania. And what kind of grade does this pay-per-view deserve? Well, if you compare them to a WWE pay-per-view and a regular wrestling pay-per-view, as in TNA, WWE perhaps, well, at least a 6 or 7. But if you look at it from a TNA perspective and compare TNA's pay-per-view internally, well, this was 8 or 9, because this was a very, very good pay-per-view to come from TNA. They finally pulled it off, this big-time feeling. They booked their pay-per-view very good, not that much backstage segments, not that much interviews, some interviews before the matches, and they did not have these video packages before every match that they have had on their latest pay-per-views, and have a tendency of having almost for every match, and it becomes overbearing because you need to have some matches that doesn't seem to mean as much and to be as big as the last matches, as you need a progression during the pay-per-view, and TNA has failed in that aspect at many times, in my opinion. But tonight they did it. They pulled off a lot of title matches in the early going, and they started out with the X Division match, a very good match. Amazing Red has had some good spot. He is now flanked by his promoter Don West, and that's a good way to get him over, because West is very good at selling something. He's good at selling stuff, and hopefully can also sell a wrestler. Very good match, high risk spots, and a lot of high flying. And the final segment where you had like Daniels and Suicide and Amazing Red on top, it was a real good breathtaking moment, because that fall that Daniels took looked really dangerous. Amazing Red retained the title, as he should do. He just won the title. And we also had the tag team knockout match. Not much to say about that. Pretty short and sweet. And you had a retain there as well by Taylor Wilde and Sarita. We move on. It was yet another title match. It was the Legends title. Eric Young had paid Kevin Nash money to look after him. It ended up that Eric Young stabbed Kevin Nash, giving him some sort of a low blow by thrusting Hernandez into Kevin Nash. He pinned Nash 1, 2, 3 and ran off with the title, screwing him over the title. This Legends Championship, I don't think it's going to last that very long right now. To me, it's the storyline title as long as Main Event Mafia exists. And taking the title from them is just an indication that they're now going to implore. And I question and doubt that Main Event Mafia will exist that much longer, with so many people. Booker T, due to rumors, is leaving. Steiner is on the verge of bursting out of his bubble, also leaving. Sting might not renew. Kurt Angle and Kevin Nash might stay. So that, well, Sting of course is not a part of Main Event Mafia anymore, but yeah, Samoa Joe will stay. But yeah, simply it's hard to know where the future of Main Event Mafia lies, if there even is a future for them. And moving on, the tag team match was really good as well. A lot of bumps, a lot of action going on in the ring, good wrestling, and a lot of violence tables. This was like a TLC match, more or less. Where Douglas won the IWGP Tag Team Championship, and British Invasion won the Tag Team Championship in TNA. I believe Team 3D will now go back to New Japan and lose these titles, so that the titles return there. And I'm not sure that New Japan will recognize that the belts have been dropping around on TNA between different tag teams. It could be just that Team 3D left Japan with the titles and are still the champions, now coming back and losing the titles. I'm not sure about that. Then we moved on, the knockout match. I don't really know what happened with Victoria. She disappeared. It looked like someone attacked her in the crowd. I don't know if that was staged or not. I haven't checked that up. But they talked so much about it that it seemed it was staged. On the other hand, the wrestlers in the ring kind of lost track, so it's hard to know whether that was real or not. However, would it be retained, that title? And however you had, there was a question before the match if Awesome Kong was going to make it or not. She seems to be going splitting from Raisha Saeed, who cost her the match. Other than that, Awesome Kong was booked in a real big way. She dominated the match. She looked really solid in this match. So that's indicating that there is indeed a future for Awesome Kong in TNA. Moving on to the main 4 matches now. You had the first match, Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe. Here is where TNA fucked up a little, and this is where they prove that they are not always as good as WWE and has that little extra feel for it. It was Samoa Joe versus Bobby Lashley, a very good match that Bobby Lashley won. But how did he win it? Apparently Samoa Joe passed out. The referee didn't raise the hand of Samoa Joe to let it fall down. Did he pass out? Did he tap out? Or was it a screw job? I really didn't get that, and commentators didn't get it either. And the crowd didn't like it at all. They were behind Samoa Joe throughout the entire match. To Bobby Lashley's defense, I think this was kind of a mob reaction, but because when Lashley came out, a lot of people were behind him. But as the match progressed, they were more and more siding behind Samoa Joe, and it became the thing of the night to kind of boo Bobby Lashley out. And one reason why that is because they have promoted this match as MMA versus TNA, as if Bobby Lashley really isn't in the TNA as a wrestler. I believe that can and might have alienated him from TNA and TNA fans, and also the fact that they are overhyping him as the biggest and the greatest and the most dangerous MMA fighter in the world, and one of the absolute best MMA fighters in the world, when we do not know if that's the case. He hasn't proven that much in the world of MMA. So I believe that's why the people turned against him, because he didn't really seem like one in TNA, and I believe they're still looking at him as this MMA and WWE guy, whilst you get Samoa Joe as the original TNA wrestler. Matt Morgan, Kurt Angle, good match, solid match, same thing here. People got behind the wrong wrestler, the heel. Kurt Angle won the match, very good. They shook hands after the match in an honest moment of kind of Kurt Angle he passed the torch almost, shook the hands of Matt Morgan. He walked out of the ring, left Matt Morgan in the ring. Interesting to note also, before the match, Matt Morgan said that even wrestlers in Main Event Mafia had refused to wrestle me because they are afraid to lose. That was clearly a shot against Booker T, who allegedly has refused to work with Matt Morgan and put him over on TNA Impact tapings. Yeah, as it may, Abyss versus Mick Foley, good match, very good match, but yet another major fuck up in that match. Abyss won, and I don't really want. Dr. Stevie was knocked out, and we saw barbed wire. We saw Daphne take a bump through a barbed wire table, and the referee comes in and he counts 1, 2, and then he stops. For no reason, Abyss didn't kick out, and then like 1 second later, Abyss kicks out. I believe it was like this because when the referee came in the ring, he counted 1, and then 2, and then stopped. So I believe that Abyss only thought that he was only on 1. He didn't see that first smash with the left hand when he hit the mat for the 1, and then went for the right hand and say 2. So I believe that Abyss still thought that this was only on his 1 count and waited for the 2, and then was about to kick out. So that's where the fuck up was, but still that's very unprofessional. I don't know really, I believe that was the referee's fault, because you're not supposed to use 2 different hands when making the count. And then we had the main event, of course, a big match, big time feel. The match delivered, and yeah, I believe it delivered. It wasn't an awesome match. It had its moments, great with great wrestling, but the finish was the best. AJ Styles, whom I believe would defeat Sting for the title here, actually it was as good as it was right now, because he was the only wrestler to ever walk in with a title, face Sting and keep it on Bound for Glory. And Sting open-heartedly told the fans afterwards that I don't know what the future holds me. I don't know. This was in his hometown. People cheered for him, and he said, if it was only for this, I would stay forever. But there are other things to it as well, and he will announce his future in the near future. So very good pay-per-view. Very good build-up, professionally made, except for these mistakes. One interesting thing though is that the heel wrestlers to a large extent got cheered for, such as Kurt Angle, such as Samoa Joe. They were supposed to be major heels, Maybe, I don't know how it is at a normal TNA house show or regular TNA house show, but this could be the problem that when they do Bound for Glory, no, the Impact tapings, they are in this Universal studio, so they live in a bubble where people who come there and watch don't know that much about wrestling. They just cheer whom they're supposed to cheer, boo whom they're supposed to boo. But when they get out of that bubble and visit an arena, then you get the real wrestling fans, and they tell you whom they like and not like. So maybe this Impact thing that we got with heels and faces is not really corresponding to what the real wrestling fans feel. I'm not sure about that. People who have been at TNA house shows, you feel free to share your opinions on how it is on a normal regular house show. Does Kurt Angle get cheered as he did this night? Same thing with Samoa Joe. And what is the reaction to Bobby Lashley, who got heavily booed during this pay-per-view? Thank you for watching and have a nice day.